I'd been hiking along the Appalachian Trail for 45 minutes or so, and the forest had been dense. I've made it my hobby the last few years to hike different pieces of the trail, and this part was new to me. The canopy of trees created a cold shadow and almost a chill, even in late spring, until suddenly it just opened up. I stumbled into a nearly round clearing in the trees. A clearing that didn't feel like it should be there, and I saw a structure. It was a staircase, but no signs of a house ever having been here. I've heard the stories, the rumors, the legends, one of which involved a set of stairs to nowhere, but that just made it even harder to believe what I was seeing, because I don't believe in the paranormal. It stood dead center in the clearing, wooden, narrow, rising straight up into nothing. No ruins of a house, no rotting platform, just steps climbing toward empty air. The wood didn't look old or weathered or rotting. It was clean, almost polished. It looked pretty much new. I remember standing there, staring for a long time, trying to rationalize it. Maybe this whole time it's just been an art installation. Maybe there was a building, although why would they remove it and not the stairs? But I knew in my gut what this might be. I had heard the stories. Everyone who hikes long enough hears them. Stairs in the woods. Don't touch them. Don't climb them. Don't acknowledge them. I swallowed hard and forced a laugh that sounded wrong in the silence. It's just wood, I muttered. I guess to convince myself, but I took out my phone. I circled the staircase slowly, taking photos from every angle. Something about documenting it made me feel safer. Like if I could prove it was real, then it couldn't be paranormal or whatever else it might be. And then I did something stupid. I stepped onto the first stair. The forest seemed to quiet a little, like the volume had been turned down a notch, but I wasn't certain of that. It became eerie, but nothing much really changed. There was no sudden wind, no sound, no shift in light, just me standing there like an idiot. I climbed another step, and then another. Halfway up, I paused and looked back over my shoulder. The clearing seemed smaller somehow, the edges of the trees closer, like they were leaning in. Okay, I said under my breath, that's enough. I turned to head back down, my gut suddenly screaming at me to hurry, and I raced down the few steps. The moment my foot touched the ground, the trail was gone. I stood in a different stretch of woods entirely. Thicker, darker, the air colder. What? I said. My voice came out thin. I spun around. The staircase was still there behind me, but now it looked taller than it had been. The top lost in a haze that hadn't been there before. My heart started to pound. Okay, I said out loud, talking to myself. Okay, just retrace your steps. I turned in what I thought was the direction of the trail and started walking. 10 steps in, I realized something was off. There was no path, no markers, no footprints. Just undisturbed forest floor stretching in every direction. A cold, creeping dread settled into my chest. I took out my phone again. No signal, naturally. I started walking faster, choosing a direction based on my best guess. Branches scraped against my arms. Roots caught at my feet. The forest seemed denser with every step, like it was closing in behind me. And that's when I heard it. A scream. Faint. It sounded like a woman in the distance. I froze. The sound carried through the trees, raw, terrified, and unmistakable. Help me! I turned toward it instinctively, and heard another scream closer this time. Hello? I called out before I could stop myself. Silence, and then, hello? I heard my own voice behind me. I whipped around so fast I nearly lost my footing. No one there. The forest stood still. The silence felt terrifying. My pulse roared in my ears. Nope, I whispered. Nope, no. Too late, I remembered the rules if you don't want to be haunted on the Appalachian Trail. If you hear something, no you didn't. If you saw something, no you didn't. I started walking again, faster this time, and then the crying began. Soft at first, somewhere off to my left. A woman sobbing. Help me. It sounded so real, so close, and every instinct screamed at me to go toward it, but I didn't. I kept walking straight ahead, eyes fixed on the ground, breathing hard. The crying followed me, but always stayed just out of sight. Please, she sobbed. I clenched my jaw. Don't respond. Don't look. Don't acknowledge it. I kept repeating it to myself like a mantra for surviving the trail. And then I heard, Andrew. My blood ran cold. That was my name, and it had come from right behind me. Slowly, against every ounce of better judgment, I turned. There was nothing, just trees and silence, and then softer, Andrew. It was my voice saying my name. It sounded like me standing just a few feet away. My hands started to shake. "This isn't real," I whispered. "This isn't real," something whispered back. I bolted. I ran like I've never run before, and I did not stop or look back again. Branches whipped at my face. Roots made me stumble. My lungs burned almost immediately, but I didn't slow down. Behind me were footsteps. Every stride I took, it took one too, and the voice was now laughing. My own laugh. "Andrew?" And the scream came again, closer. So close it felt like it was right beside me now. "Help me!" I jumped, literally. It scared me to the point I left 2 or 3 feet off the ground. My vision blurred. My legs screamed, but the sounds didn't fade. They got louder, no matter how fast I ran. It was like the forest itself was chasing me. I don't know how long I ran. I was so full of adrenaline, time didn't exist. At some point I realized I was crying. I hadn't even noticed when it started. "Just find the trail," I gasped to myself. "Just find the trail." The voices echoed it back. "Find the trail." Over and over, mocking me. And then, suddenly, I broke through the trees and stumbled onto gravel. I fell to my knees, not even feeling the pain, gasping for air. A parking lot. My parking lot. My car sat exactly where I'd left it. The forest behind me was now quiet, completely silent. No screams, no crying, no voice, nothing. I forced myself to stand and staggered over to my car. My hands shook so badly I could hardly find the unlock button on my key fob, and I was desperate to get in. I collapsed into the driver's seat, slammed the door shut, and locked it immediately. Only then did I feel like I could breathe even a little. I sat there, staring straight ahead, trying to process what had just happened. After a few minutes, I reached for my phone. Still no signal. But the time, my stomach dropped. 4 hours had passed. 4 hours! I had only been hiking for 45 minutes, and after that, mostly running flat out back to this parking lot. There was no way, no possible way. My fingers still trembled as I opened my photos. The pictures of the staircase were still there. I had proof that that had been real. But the last photo, I don't remember taking it. It was looking up the staircase from the bottom, except I wasn't alone. Standing at the top, barely visible through that gray haze, was a figure, my shape, my stance, my face, looking down at me and watching. I zoomed in and had to admit, it was me. Whatever had mimicked me, I had a photo of it. I knew in that moment that more stories I'd heard about the Appalachian Trail were true than I had ever imagined. I'd always blown them off. I wouldn't anymore. And I'd be looking for a new hobby. If you enjoyed this reading, please hit like and subscribe so you don't miss future stories. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. This has been Tales by Rachel, where we breathe life into every story.